and pretty much just play with the settings until you get get it the way you want it. That's all. I mean, there's no one way to do this, so I'm just tweaking it until every cut, depending on the sky color you choose and everything, it's going to be different. So you gotta just, I can't tell you what settings to use. You just gotta play with it until you get it. You don't want them showing too much, unless you like that look. But you want them to kind of form from the horizon up. And we're also going to be doing something else to them anyway. So, all right, that's probably good right there. And just transparency them down a little bit if you want. Okay, the other thing we need to do is add the motion blur to them. So time and CC force motion blur. And to make it work, we need to go up above the levels. Okay, so it's above the levels, and we're going to crank this sucker all the way up. I mean, until they're really blurred out. I mean, we want them stretched quite a bit, and maybe we can play with our opacity there, and also tweak our motion blur samples a little bit. Alright, so that's probably good there. I mean, it doesn't hurt to, go after you do your motion blur, go tweak a little bit more. And I've also found by adding a CC vector blur to that does help a little bit, so we could try that, see how that looks with these particular clouds. Blur, CC vector blur. Just to give them that wispier look, because we don't want them to look like these clouds at all. We want them to have their own a wispy look to them, because they're they're above the atmosphere, they're above the clouds and stuff. So we want them to have that nice, that wispy look like that. Maybe not as much as that though. So just be careful. You don't want to add too much vector blur to it. But I'm sure you know what I'm looking at. You want those like really high cirrus type clouds to them like that, So let me just preview this real quick and see how that's looking so far. I'm going to pause it and I'll come back. Okay, that is not looking good. With the motion blur and everything, the vector blur, that's not good. I like the look of the colors, but I don't like the motion of it, obviously, so we'll fix that. Alright, yeah, it's too sporadic-y looking. So we'll just add maybe a little bit of blur, just a little bit, and we'll work on that motion blur a little bit also. We should be able to crank it down actually now, because now we got the CC vector blur in there. So we just want to get it, soften them up a little bit. I mean, you don't even have to add the CC vector blur in there, but you saw what it looks like. I mean, it gives it a completely different look. You may not even need the motion blur in there, but I would think you would, because you want them to be blurred. If not, they're not gonna look wispy. So in order to get that, you definitely got to get the motion blur in there. So. But what I normally do, I mean, I don't usually add the CC vector blur. I'm just giving you that idea to add it, just a slight touch of it with the motion blur, and just make them barely visible. I mean, you just want them to show up just a little bit every once in a while, just to come through. Play with my levels there. Just it's a matter of just keep tweaking everything, and simple stuff. You know, there's nothing special about this. I'm just going by playing with all the little settings, the color to see if I get any better looks. Just gonna reset that whole palette there, just to see how it looks without it. I just want just a little bit in there. Turn my vector blur back off, and where's my levels? Alright, so we'll just go all the way up. Let's try putting the levels before the motion blur and see if that helps at all. I mean, obviously it gives a different look, so doesn't hurt to try. That might work better. Let me where's my levels? Used to them. Yep. But it's not. Yeah, it doesn't make the levels work. That's why it's given a different look. So you can't. Yeah, the CC usually has to go first. That's why. Check that out. Anyways, set reset on that, and just go ahead and, like I said, just get the idea. Play with the settings a little bit. Play with the vector blur, or not the vector blur, the motion blur. You don't want to add too many samples to that. I'm just trying to get that right look to it. I'm gonna tweak that down a little bit, and we'll just go from there. I don't want to play with this too much. It's already making the thing go too long. Where's my vector blur? Let's add some more of that in there. This might be good. Alright, so we'll probably leave it. See how we got the wispiness coming in up there, just up on the top there. That's all we really want. It's just that look. I mean, you could just add a blur to it, not even a vector blur. I mean, I like the way the vector blur kind of looks in there. It really depends on the speed and everything that you have your clouds going. But okay, so just you got that. Now we also have to do the vector blur, or not the vector blur, the motion blur on the other clouds. So there, and let's actually go a few frames up, and you just want, let's turn these down to 7 here. You just want to tweak it until it just starts getting blurred out, so it'll look different once it's in motion and stuff. Because it's kind of going fast, so obviously you want that motion blur like that. There we go. Alright, so let me just go ahead and pause this and I'll come back. Okay, so there we go. We have the flying through the clouds right now. And you can see the upper really high clouds there, just wisping through. So like I said, just play with those high clouds. Maybe give it more. The bottom ones even more blur. It really depends on how you like it in the end when you're doing it. You don't want to add too much though, to where it really ruins the clouds. You want